The black Mercedes SUV pulled up to my small apartment building on a Tuesday afternoon. A man in an expensive suit stepped out, carrying a leather briefcase. He was looking for me. 2 days earlier, my daughter-in-law had thrown me out of my own house. The house I'd given her and my son as a wedding gift 10 years ago. The house where my grandchildren lived. She told me it was hers now, that I had no right to keep showing up, that I needed to accept that my son was dead and move on with my life. Her drunk boyfriend physically pushed me out the door while my grandchildren cried at the window. I'm 68 years old. I'm a widow. My only son died 3 months ago from a sudden heart attack. And the woman he married had just cut me out of my grandchildren's lives. I thought I'd lost everything, but that man in the suit was about to tell me something that would change. Everything. Something my son had done in the final weeks of his life. Something he'd discovered about his wife. Something that meant the house she'd just thrown me out of wasn't hers at all. Before I tell you what that attorney said to me, and how everything I thought I knew about my son's death turned out to be wrong, I want to hear from you. What city are you watching from right now? I want to know where this story is reaching. And if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We share stories like this every day. Real family drama, real betrayal, real justice. My name is Margaret Thompson. This is how I discovered my daughter-in-law had been lying to everyone, including my son, and how I got my family back. My son David was born when I was 30 years old. He was my only child, my miracle baby after years of trying and 2 miscarriages. From the moment I held him, he was the center of my world. My husband Thomas and I weren't wealthy. I worked as a nurse at Columbus General Hospital. Thomas was a mechanic. We lived paycheck to paycheck, but we were happy. And we poured everything we had into giving David a good life. We bought our house when David was 2 years old. A small 3-bedroom ranch in a working-class neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it had a backyard where David could play, a garage where Thomas could work on cars, a kitchen where I could cook family dinners. It was home. David grew up in that house. We marked his height on the doorframe every year. His first day of school photos were taken on the front porch. His high school graduation party was in that backyard. When Thomas got cancer, David was 24. He just graduated from Ohio State with a business degree. He came home every weekend during his father's illness, sat with him, helped me care for him. Thomas died 8 years ago. Before he passed, he made me promise something. Take care of David, but also take care of yourself. Don't sacrifice everything for him. You deserve to live too, I promised. But I didn't keep that promise. After Thomas died, David became even more important to me. He was all I had left. He called me every day, came over for dinner twice a week, helped me with repairs around the house. He was my best friend. When David met Vanessa, he was 30 years old. She was 27, beautiful, polished, confident. She came from a wealthier family than ours. Her father was a lawyer. Her mother was a real estate agent. They lived in Upper Arlington, one of the nice suburbs. I could tell from the first time I met her that Vanessa wasn't used to people like us. Working-class people. She was polite, but there was a distance. A sense that she was doing David a favor by being with him. But David was in love. Completely, totally in love. Mom, she's amazing. She's smart and ambitious, and she makes me want to be better. I smiled and supported him because that's what mothers do. But privately, I worried. I saw the way she looked at our modest house. The way she subtly corrected David's grammar. The way she talked about upgrading their lives together. They dated for 2 years. Then David proposed. Vanessa said yes. The wedding was elegant. Vanessa's parents paid for most of it. It was held at a country club I'd never been to before. I wore the nicest dress I owned and felt out of place the entire time. But David was happy. That's all that mattered. 2 weeks before the wedding, David came to me with a concern. Mom, Vanessa, and I have been looking at houses. Everything in our price range is either too small or in bad neighborhoods. We're getting discouraged. I'd been thinking about this for months. Since the engagement, actually. David, I have an idea, but I need you to hear me out before you say no. Okay, what if you and Vanessa lived here? In this house? Mom, I'm not moving back into my childhood home with my wife. That's weird. Not with me. I'd move out. I'd get an apartment, and I'd give you the house. He stared at me. What? This house is paid off. It's been paid off for 10 years. It's worth about $180,000. I'd sign it over to you as a wedding gift. You and Vanessa could start your marriage here, raise your family here, the way your father and I raised you. Mom? No. This is your home. It was my home with your father. He's gone now. It's too big for me anyway. I don't need 3 bedrooms. I'd be happier in a small apartment. And you need a house. This solves everything. I can't let you do that. You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing to do it. Your father and I worked hard for this house. We always wanted it to stay in the family. This way it does. David had tears in his eyes. Are you sure? I'm sure. Let me do this for you. It would make me so happy. He hugged me. Thank you, Mom. I don't even know what to say. Say you'll raise my grandchildren here. That's all I want. 3 weeks after the wedding, I moved into a 1-bedroom senior apartment across town. It was small, just 600 square feet, but it was affordable on my retirement income from nursing, my pension and Social Security. David and Vanessa moved into the house. I'd signed a quitclaim deed transferring ownership to both of them. I gave it to David in a card on their wedding day. This is your home now. Build your life here. Vanessa seemed pleased, but not particularly grateful. It needs updating. The kitchen is really outdated, and the bathrooms. But it's a good starter home. As if it was something temporary, something they'd move on from once they could afford better. But I didn't say anything. I just smiled and told myself she'd grow to love it the way I had. Over the next 10 years, I visited often. I watched them paint walls and replace appliances. I was there when they brought home Emma as a newborn, and then Lucas 3 years later. I babysat twice a week. I brought groceries. I helped with the kids when Vanessa went back to work as an office manager. David thrived. He got promoted at his tech company. He was a devoted father. He was happy. I thought everything was perfect. I thought I'd made the right choice. I had no idea that in 10 years, Vanessa would throw me out of that house and tell me I had no right to be there. And I had no idea that my son, in the final weeks of his life, had discovered something that would change everything. David died on a Wednesday morning in March. He was at work in a meeting when he collapsed. A coworker called 911. The paramedics couldn't save him. Massive heart attack. He was 38 years old. I got the call from Vanessa at 10:47 a.m. I was at the grocery store. Margaret, you need to come to the hospital. It's David. He's gone. I dropped my phone. A stranger picked it up and asked if I was okay. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My son was dead. The next week was a blur. The funeral. The viewing. Hundreds of people. David had so many friends, so many coworkers, so many people whose lives he'd touched. Vanessa was devastated. Or she seemed to be. She cried through the entire funeral. She held Emma and Lucas close. She gave a beautiful eulogy about David being her soulmate, her best friend, the love of her life. I believed every word. In the first few weeks after the funeral, I was at the house constantly, helping with the kids, cooking meals, doing laundry. Vanessa seemed too broken to function. I don't know how to do this without him, she'd say. How do I raise these kids alone? You're not alone. I'm here. I'll always be here. She'd nod and thank me, but there was something distant in her eyes, something I couldn't quite read. 6 weeks after David's death, things started to change. Vanessa seemed lighter somehow. She started wearing makeup again, started going out with friends, started talking about moving forward and not letting grief consume her. I understood. Everyone grieves differently. I was still wearing black and crying every night, but Vanessa was younger. She had her whole life ahead of her. I didn't want her to stop living, but then Rick appeared. This is Rick Dawson, Vanessa said one afternoon when I showed up to watch the kids. He worked with David. He's been really supportive. Rick was 42, tall, handsome in a rough way. He shook my hand with a grip that was too firm. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Thompson. David talked about you all the time. Something about him made me uncomfortable. The way he looked at Vanessa, the way he was already so comfortable in my son's house, standing in my son's kitchen. How nice of you to check on Vanessa, I said carefully. Yeah, well, David was a good guy. Want to make sure his family is taken care of. Over the next few weeks, Rick was there constantly. Just helping out, Vanessa would say. He's been so kind. 8 weeks after David's death, I showed up unannounced and found Rick's truck in the driveway. It was 9 a.m. on a Saturday. I knocked. Emma answered, still in her pajamas. Hi, Grandma. Mommy's upstairs with Rick. My stomach dropped. Is Rick here a lot, sweetheart? Emma nodded. He sleeps over sometimes. In Daddy's room. I felt sick. Vanessa came downstairs a few minutes later, wearing a robe. Rick followed, shirtless, casual. Margaret, I didn't know you were coming. I can see that. Vanessa's face hardened. I don't need to explain myself to you. It's been 8 weeks, Vanessa. 8 weeks since my son died, and I'm supposed to stop living? I'm supposed to be miserable forever? I'm not saying that. This is fast. Very fast. Rick put his arm around Vanessa. She needs support. Someone who's here for her. Not just criticizing. I'm not criticizing. I'm concerned. Vanessa's voice was cold. Your concern isn't needed. I'm an adult. This is my house. I get to decide who's welcome here. My house. My house. She said it like I had no connection to it at all. I left that day feeling shaken. Something was very wrong, but I didn't know what to do about it. 10 weeks after David's death, Rick moved in completely. His truck was always in the driveway. His clothes were in the closet. He'd taken over my son's space like David had never existed, I asked Vanessa directly. Don't you think this is too soon? What will people say? I don't care what people say. David's gone. Life goes on. And honestly, Margaret, I think you need to give us some space. You're here all the time. It's suffocating. I'm here for Emma and Lucas, and I appreciate that. But I think we need to establish some boundaries. Maybe come over once a week instead of 3 times a week. Call before you visit. This is my home and I need to feel comfortable in it. Every time she said my home, it was like a knife. This was the house I'd given her. The house I'd sacrificed for, and she was using it to push me away. I tried to talk to Emma and Lucas about how they were doing. Emma, who was 10, was the most honest. I miss Daddy, and I miss you, Grandma. Mommy says you can't come over as much anymore. Do you like Rick? Emma looked down. He's okay, but he's not Daddy, and sometimes he's mean to Mommy. He drinks a lot and gets loud. That terrified me. But when I tried to talk to Vanessa about it, she shut me down. Rick is fine. Emma is exaggerating. She's having trouble adjusting, that's all. Stop interrogating my children. 3 months after David's death, I was allowed to visit once a week, always at scheduled times, always with Vanessa's permission. I felt like I was losing my grandchildren, losing the last connection I had to my son. But I had no idea that the worst was yet to come. I had no idea that Vanessa was about to throw me out completely. And I had no idea that my son, before he died, had discovered something about Vanessa that explained everything. The first time Rick was openly hostile to me was on a Tuesday afternoon in June. 3.5 months after David's death, I'd brought lunch for the kids, their favorite grilled cheese and tomato soup. I had a key to the house. I'd always had a key, so I let myself in like I'd done hundreds of times before. Rick was on the couch in his undershirt and sweatpants, drinking a beer. At 2 in the afternoon. On a weekday, what are you doing here? He asked. I brought lunch for Emma and Lucas. Where are they? Upstairs. And you need to stop just showing up. This isn't your house. I've always had a key. David wanted me to have access in case of emergencies. David's dead. Things have changed. You need to call before you come over. I felt anger rising. I don't need your permission to see my grandchildren. You need Vanessa's permission. And she's getting tired of you constantly being here. Where is Vanessa? At work, like a responsible adult. Unlike some people who have nothing better to do than interfere. I called for the kids. Emma came running downstairs, followed by Lucas. Grandma! You brought lunch? I hugged them both, feeling how thin Emma had gotten. Have you guys been eating okay? Rick orders pizza a lot, Lucas said. And Chinese food, not home-cooked meals. Not the kind of food growing children needed. After I fed them and cleaned up the kitchen, which was filthy, dishes piled in the sink, I left. But I was deeply worried. That evening, Vanessa called me. Margaret, Rick said you let yourself in today without calling. I've always let myself in. I have a key. I need that key back. My heart sank. What? I need my key back. I can't have you just showing up whenever you want. It's my house. I deserve privacy. Vanessa, I'm not showing up to spy on you. I'm coming to see my grandchildren. To help. I don't need your help. And I need you to respect my boundaries. Bring the key when you come over on Saturday. She hung up. Saturday, I returned the key. It felt like losing David all over again, like I was being erased from the family. Over the next month, things got worse. I'd arrive for my scheduled weekly visit and find the house in disarray. Laundry piled up, dishes unwashed, the kids looking tired and unkempt. Rick was always there, always drinking. Sometimes he'd be passed out on the couch. Other times he'd be aggressively friendly, trying to convince me that everything was fine. Vanessa and I are great together. The kids love me. We're building a new life here. But Emma's eyes told a different story. She'd gotten quiet, withdrawn. She'd pull me aside and whisper, "Grandma, when can I come stay with you?" "Any time, sweetheart. You know my door is always open." But when I'd suggest it to Vanessa, she'd refuse. The kids need stability. They need to be in their own home, with me. One Saturday in July, 4 months after David's death, I arrived to find Rick drunk and belligerent. "Oh, great. The mother-in-law's here," he slurred. "Come to judge us some more." "I'm here to see Emma and Lucas. They're busy. Come back another time. Vanessa said I could come at 2 p.m. It's 2 p.m. Plans changed. We're having family time." "You're not family anymore." Vanessa appeared from the kitchen. "Rick, stop!" "Margaret, come in. Ignore him. He's had a bad day." A bad day that involved drinking before 2 in the afternoon. I stayed for an hour. The kids clung to me the entire time. When I left, Lucas cried, "I want to go with Grandma." Vanessa peeled him off me. "You're staying here. Grandma will visit next week." But the next week, Vanessa called to cancel. "The kids have activities. We'll reschedule." We didn't reschedule. 2 weeks went by. Then 3. I called repeatedly. Vanessa's responses were short. "We're busy. I'll let you know when we have time." I was being frozen out, cut off from my grandchildren deliberately. In late July, I showed up unannounced. I knew it would make Vanessa angry, but I didn't care. I needed to see those kids. Rick answered the door, visibly drunk, aggressive. "I told you to stop coming here. I need to see my grandchildren. It's been 3 weeks. They don't want to see you." "That's a lie." He stepped closer, invading my space. "This is Vanessa's house. You gave it to her? That means you have no rights here. You're just an old woman who can't accept that your son is dead and his wife has moved on." I tried to step around him. He blocked me. "Get off this property or I'll call the police." "Call them. I'd love to tell them about how you're drunk around my grandchildren, how you've moved into my dead son's house after barely 3 months, how you're isolating them from their family." Vanessa appeared behind Rick. "What's going on?" "Your mother-in-law won't leave." Vanessa looked at me coldly. "Margaret, you need to go. You can't keep showing up like this. It's harassment." "Harassment? I'm trying to see my grandchildren when I allow it, on my schedule. This is my home. You don't get to decide when you visit." Behind her, I saw Emma standing at the top of the stairs, watching, tears on her face. "Emma needs me," I said desperately. "Can't you see she's struggling?" "Emma is fine. She's adjusting. You showing up and undermining me doesn't help." "I'm not undermining you. I'm trying to be there for her, for both of them." "Well, I don't want you here, so leave. And don't come back unless I specifically invite you." For 2 weeks, I didn't see Emma or Lucas. Vanessa wouldn't return my calls. My text messages went unanswered. I drove by the house twice, just to see if the kids were okay. I saw them playing in the backyard once. They looked fine from a distance, but I couldn't talk to them, couldn't hug them. I felt helpless, desperate, like I was losing the last pieces of David I had left. I called Vanessa's mother, Patricia, hoping maybe she could reason with her daughter. "Margaret, I understand you're concerned, but Vanessa is the mother. She gets to decide who has access to her children. But I'm their grandmother. I've been in their lives since birth. This is cruel. Vanessa says you're being overbearing, that you won't respect boundaries. Maybe if you gave her space, she'd be more willing to let you visit." I gave her space. "She's using that space to cut me out completely. That's between you and Vanessa. I can't get involved. No one would help me. No one understood that something was deeply wrong." I considered calling Child Protective Services, reporting my concerns about Rick's drinking, about the neglect I'd witnessed. But I was terrified. If CPS investigated and found nothing wrong, Vanessa would have legal grounds to keep me away permanently. I'd lose my grandchildren completely, so I waited. And hoped, and prayed that Vanessa would change her mind. In mid-August, I got a text from Emma. She'd somehow gotten access to Vanessa's phone. Grandma, it's Emma. Please come to Lucas's birthday party on Saturday. Mom doesn't want you here, but Lucas keeps asking for you. Please come. 2 p.m., Lucas's birthday. He was turning 7. My grandson was turning 7, and I hadn't been invited to his party. I texted back immediately. I'll be there, sweetheart. I love you. Saturday arrived. I bought Lucas a present, a Lego set he'd been wanting. I dressed nicely. I rehearsed what I'd say to Vanessa, how I'd be polite, respectful, non-confrontational. I just wanted to see my grandson on his birthday. I arrived at 2 p.m. There were balloons on the mailbox. Kids' voices in the backyard. A normal birthday party. I rang the doorbell. Waited. Rick opened the door. Immediately, I smelled alcohol on his breath. He was very drunk. More drunk than I'd ever seen him. What the hell are you doing here? I'm here for Lucas's birthday. You weren't invited. Emma told me about it. Lucas wants me here. I don't give a damn what Lucas wants. You need to leave. Let me see Vanessa. She doesn't want to see you either. Get off this property. I tried to look past him. Lucas, Emma. Rick grabbed my arm. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to scare me. I said leave. Take your hand off me. He didn't. Instead, he physically turned me around and pushed me toward my car. Go home, old lady. You're not wanted here. I heard a child scream. Lucas. Grandma! Grandma! Lucas came running from the backyard, 7 years old, wearing a birthday hat, crying. He tried to run to me, but Rick blocked him. Get back in the yard, kid. I want my grandma at my party. Emma appeared behind Lucas, taking his hand. Come on, Lucas, let's go back. She looked at me with devastated eyes. 10 years old and already understanding that adults were broken and cruel. Vanessa came outside, face flushed with anger. Margaret, what are you doing here? Emma told me about the party. I brought Lucas a present. I just wanted to see him for a few minutes. Emma had no right to invite you. You're not welcome here. I'm his grandmother. How can you keep me from his birthday? Easily. This is my house. These are my children, and I don't want you here. I felt tears streaming down my face. Vanessa, please. I'm not your enemy. I just want to be part of their lives. You had your chance. You kept overstepping. You kept ignoring my boundaries. You kept questioning my choices. So now you get no access at all. I'll respect your boundaries. I'll do whatever you want. Just please don't take them away from me. Rick stepped forward, aggressive. You heard her. Get out. This isn't your house anymore. It stopped being your house the day you gave it away. You have no rights here. No say in anything. You're just a bitter old woman who can't let go. I looked at the house. My house. The house Thomas and I had built our lives in. Where we'd raised David. Where I'd thought my grandchildren would grow up surrounded by love and family. Vanessa was standing in the doorway like she owned it. Like I'd never existed. Like David had never existed. This house was supposed to be for David's family, I said quietly. I gave it to you for him. For his children. And you've turned it into something ugly. Vanessa's face was stone. I didn't turn it into anything. I'm living my life. Moving forward. Something you clearly can't do. You need to accept that David is gone, and this is my life now. My house, my family. You're not part of it anymore. Rick put his arm around her possessively. Time to go, Margaret, and don't come back. Next time, we call the police. Lucas was sobbing in the backyard. Emma was holding him, trying to comfort him. Both of them watching this nightmare unfold. I got in my car, drove away, and broke down completely 3 blocks later. I'd lost everything. My son, my grandchildren, my home. My family. I had nothing left. 2 days later, on Monday afternoon, the black Mercedes SUV pulled up to my apartment building. I'd been sitting in my apartment for 2 days, barely eating, barely sleeping, just replaying Lucas's 7th birthday over and over in my mind. His face, his tears, the way Vanessa had looked at me with such cold contempt. I'd called Emma's number, Vanessa's phone, dozens of times. Every call went to voicemail. I'd texted. No response. I was considering my options. All of them felt impossible. Call CPS and risk losing them forever. Get a lawyer and fight for grandparent visitation rights, which in Ohio was nearly impossible unless the parent was proven unfit. Or just accept that I'd lost them. That's when I heard the car pull up outside. I looked out my window. A black Mercedes SUV. Expensive. The kind of car that doesn't belong in my neighborhood. A man stepped out, mid-50s, Asian American, wearing an immaculate charcoal suit. He carried a leather briefcase. He looked at my building, checked his phone, then walked toward the entrance. A few minutes later, there was a knock at my door. I opened it cautiously, chain still attached. Mrs. Margaret Thompson? Yes, my name is Robert Chen. I'm an attorney. I've been trying to reach you about your son David's estate. May I come in? This is important. I unhooked the chain and let him in. My apartment was small and cluttered. I hadn't cleaned in days. I was embarrassed, but too exhausted to care. I'm sorry for the intrusion, he said. But I've been calling the number I had on file, and it's been disconnected. I finally tracked down your current address through your nursing pension records. What's this about? Vanessa handled everything after David died. The funeral home, the death certificates, all of it. That's part of the problem. He set his briefcase on my small kitchen table. Mrs. Thompson, did you know your son came to see me 2 weeks before he died? My heart stopped. What? David made an appointment with my office. He came in on a Tuesday afternoon. He wanted to update his will. Update it how? Robert pulled out a folder. He wanted to change everything. He wanted to leave his entire estate, including the house, his life insurance, and his savings, to you. In trust for his children, I couldn't breathe. Why? Why would he do that? Because he'd discovered something. About Vanessa. Robert pulled out a printed stack of papers. He brought these to me. Text messages, emails, screenshots. He slid them across the table. I picked them up with shaking hands. They were messages between Vanessa and Rick, dating back 8 months before David died. Intimate messages. Explicit messages. Plans to meet at hotels. Declarations of love. Complaints about David. He's so boring. So predictable. I can't wait until we can be together openly. I felt sick. She was cheating on him? For at least 8 months before his death. Possibly longer. David discovered the messages on Vanessa's iPad. She'd forgotten to log out. He screenshot everything and brought them to me. Oh my God. David knew? He knew, and he was devastated. But he was also smart. He didn't confront her immediately. He came to me first. He wanted to protect his assets and make sure his children would be taken care of. What did he want to do? He was planning to file for divorce. But first, he wanted to update his will, transfer certain assets back to your name, and establish a trust for Emma and Lucas that Vanessa couldn't access. He had our appointment scheduled to sign everything the following week. But he died first. He died first. The heart attack happened before he could sign the new will. So legally his old will stands. The one he made 10 years ago that leaves everything to Vanessa. My hope crumbled. So she gets everything after all. Not exactly. Robert pulled out more papers. I did some research after David died. I wanted to understand what happened to his assets. And I discovered something interesting. He laid out a document. A property deed. Mrs. Thompson, do you remember signing over the house to David and Vanessa? Of course. I gave them a quitclaim deed as a wedding gift. Did you take that deed to the county recorder's office and officially file it? I tried to remember. I signed it. I gave it to David in a card on their wedding day. He said he'd handle the rest. He never filed it. What? The quitclaim deed was never recorded with the Franklin County Recorder's Office. I checked. According to official records, that house is still in your name. You are the legal owner. I stared at him. That's not possible. It's not only possible, it's documented. Here. He showed me the property records. Clear as day. Margaret Thompson, sole owner. But David and Vanessa have been living there for 10 years. They've been paying property taxes. In your name. The bills come to that address, but they're in your name. Vanessa probably never looked closely. She assumed the house was hers because David told her it was. So I still own the house? You own the house. You've owned it this entire time. David never legally transferred it. Either he forgot or he deliberately didn't file it. Given what I know about his last weeks, I suspect he didn't file it on purpose. Maybe he had concerns even back then. Maybe he wanted to protect the asset. My mind was reeling. What does this mean? It means Vanessa has no legal claim to that property. She's been living in your house, and you have every legal right to evict her. I felt something shift inside me. Something that had been broken starting to mend. What about David's life insurance? His savings? Robert smiled slightly. That's the other thing. David had a $500,000 life insurance policy through his job. Do you know who the beneficiary is? Vanessa? No, you. What? He set it up when he first got the job 12 years ago. He never changed the beneficiary. It's still you. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the papers Robert Chen had spread out in front of me. Property records, life insurance documents, bank statements, the evidence of my son's final weeks. I don't understand, I said. If David never changed the beneficiary on his life insurance, doesn't Vanessa automatically get it as his spouse? Not in Ohio. Ohio law allows life insurance beneficiaries to supersede spousal rights if they're explicitly named. You were explicitly named. The insurance company tried to reach you, but they had your old address. The check has been sitting in their office waiting for you to claim it. $500,000, $500,000. I'd been living on $1,800 a month from Social Security and my small nursing pension, struggling to pay rent, while $500,000 sat waiting for me. What about his savings? Robert pulled out another document. David had a joint savings account with you. Do you remember opening it? I thought back. Yes, when he was in college. We opened it together so I could deposit money for his expenses. But that was almost 20 years ago. He never closed it, and he never removed your name. Over the years, he deposited money into it regularly. There's currently $83,000 in that account. It's joint ownership, which means it passes directly to you as the surviving account holder, outside of probate. Vanessa doesn't know about this account? I don't believe so. It was an old account David kept separate. Based on the deposits, I think he was using it as an emergency fund, maybe even as an escape fund once he discovered the affair. I looked at the messages again. Vanessa and Rick, planning their future together while my son was still alive. Still working to provide for them. Still loving his wife. Did David know Rick was his co-worker? Yes, that's what made it worse. Rick was someone David considered a friend. Someone he trusted. The betrayal was complete. I felt rage building. Pure, clean rage. Not the messy grief I'd been drowning in. Not the helpless frustration of the past months, but righteous anger. She threw me out of my own house, I said quietly. She kept me from my grandchildren. She let her boyfriend put his hands on me. And all this time, she had no legal right to any of it. No legal right whatsoever. What can I do? What are my options? Robert Chen pulled out a legal pad and started writing. Option 1, you can file for eviction. As the property owner, you can remove Vanessa and anyone else living there. You'd need to give 30 days notice, but after that, if she doesn't leave, you can have her forcibly removed. What about the kids? That's more complicated. Vanessa is their legal parent. You can't evict the children without involving family court. But you can absolutely evict Vanessa and Rick. If she chooses to move out and take the children with her, that's her choice. Can I fight for custody? You can file for emergency custody based on concerns about their welfare. Given what you've told me about Rick's drinking and the neglect you've witnessed, you might have a case. But it would be a fight, and family court is unpredictable. What's option 2? Option 2, you offer Vanessa a deal. She signs over primary custody of Emma and Lucas to you, and in exchange, you allow her to stay in the house for a reasonable period while she gets on her feet. Or, you sell her the house at a fair price using the insurance money she thought she was getting, but isn't. She doesn't deserve a deal. Maybe not, but it might be better for the children. Less traumatic. You'd get custody without a court battle. I thought about Emma's face. Lucas's tears. What about David's 401k? His car? His other assets? The 401k goes to Vanessa as the spouse. That's about $85,000. The car was in his name, so technically it goes through probate, but as his spouse, she'd get it. Those things you can't touch. But the house, the life insurance, and the savings, those are yours. I did the math. The house was worth about $180,000. The insurance was $500,000. The savings was $83,000. Over $750,000 in assets that Vanessa thought belonged to her, but actually belonged to me. How soon can we move forward? I can file eviction papers tomorrow. Serve her by the end of the week. She'd have 30 days from service. Do it. Mrs. Thompson, I need to ask, are you sure? Once we start this process, there's no going back. Your relationship with Vanessa will be permanently destroyed. She destroyed it when she threw me out of my son's birthday party, when she kept me from my grandchildren, when she betrayed my son with his co-worker while he was alive. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with the consequences. Robert nodded. I'll need a retainer. My fee for handling this will be $5,000. I thought about my bank account. I had maybe $200. I don't have $5,000. You will once we access David's savings account. I can front the costs for now and take payment once the account is transferred to you. Will that work? Yes, thank you. He stood up and shook my hand. I'll be in touch within 48 hours. In the meantime, don't contact Vanessa. Don't go to the house. Let me handle everything legally. After he left, I sat in my apartment for a long time, holding the stack of papers. Evidence of my son's betrayal. Evidence of his love for me. Evidence that even in his final weeks, drowning in heartbreak, he'd been trying to protect his children and his mother. David had known. He'd known Vanessa was unfaithful. He'd known Rick was a snake, and he'd been taking steps to protect us all. He died before he could finish. But he'd left me the tools to finish it for him. I picked up my phone and looked at the last text from Emma. Please come to Lucas's birthday party. I texted back. I'm coming back, sweetheart. I promise. And when I do, everything is going to change. 3 days later, Robert Chen picked me up in his black Mercedes SUV. It was a Friday afternoon. 4 p.m. He'd timed it deliberately. Vanessa gets home from work at 4:30. We'll be waiting for her. In the back seat were 3 manila envelopes, legal documents, eviction notices, property records, everything we needed. We pulled up to the house, my house, at 4:15. Rick's truck was in the driveway. He was home. Good. Robert and I walked to the front door. I used to have a key to this door. Now I had to knock like a stranger, Rick answered. Shirtless, beer in hand, annoyed. You've got to be kidding me. Mr. Dawson, my name is Robert Chen. I'm an attorney representing Mrs. Margaret Thompson. We need to speak with you and Mrs. Vanessa Thompson. Vanessa's not home yet, and we've got nothing to say to you. Get off this property. Actually, Mr. Dawson, this is Mrs. Thompson's property, and you're the one who needs to get off it. Rick's face darkened. The hell are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that this house legally belongs to Margaret Thompson. It always has. The deed was never transferred. You and Mrs. Vanessa Thompson are trespassing. That's bullshit. This is Vanessa's house. No, sir, it isn't. Robert pulled out the first envelope. These are the property records from Franklin County. As you can see, Margaret Thompson is listed as the sole legal owner. Has been for 43 years. Rick grabbed the papers, scanning them with increasing confusion. This can't be right. It's right. And these... Robert handed him the second envelope. Are formal eviction notices for you and Mrs. Vanessa Thompson. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. Rick's face went red. You can't do this. We absolutely can. And we are. Behind Rick, I heard a car pull into the driveway. Vanessa's silver Honda. She was home. Vanessa got out of her car, saw us on the porch, and her face went hard. What is going on? Mrs. Vanessa Thompson? Robert said professionally. Yes, who are you? I'm Robert Chen, attorney for Margaret Thompson. I'm here to serve you with formal eviction notice. You have 30 days to vacate this property. Vanessa laughed. Actually laughed. Eviction? This is my house. No, ma'am. It's not. He handed her the documents. She read them, her smile fading with every line. This is wrong. The house was given to us. Margaret signed it over. Mrs. Thompson signed a quitclaim deed, yes. But that deed was never filed with the county recorder. Without filing, the transfer was never legal. The house remains in Mrs. Thompson's name. David said he'd handle it. He must have filed it. He didn't. I verified with the county. The house is and has always been Margaret Thompson's legal property. Vanessa turned to me, eyes blazing. You planned this. You set this up. I planned nothing, I said calmly. I gave you the house in good faith. David never filed the paperwork. I didn't know until 3 days ago. I don't believe you, Robert intervened. Mrs. Thompson's knowledge or intent is irrelevant. The legal fact is that she owns this property. You do not. You have 30 days to leave. Rick stepped forward aggressively. We're not going anywhere. Try to evict us and we'll fight you in court. You're welcome to try. But you'll lose. The law is very clear on property ownership. Vanessa's voice was shaking. Where am I supposed to go? I have 2 children. You can't just throw us out on the street. You have 30 days to make arrangements, Robert said. That's more than generous. I spoke for the first time, looking directly at Vanessa. You threw me out in 30 seconds. You kept me from my grandchildren for weeks. You let Rick put his hands on me, and all this time you were living in my house, telling me I had no rights here? This was supposed to be mine. David gave it to me. David gave you permission to live in my house. He never gave you ownership. There's a difference, you vindictive, bitter old woman. Mrs. Thompson signed a quitclaim deed, yes, but that deed was never filed with the county recorder. Without filing, the transfer was never legal. The house remains in Mrs. Thompson's name. David said he'd handle it. He must have filed it. He didn't. I've verified with the county. The house is and has always been Margaret Thompson's legal property. Vanessa turned to me, eyes blazing. You planned this. You set this up. I planned nothing, I said calmly. I gave you the house in good faith. David never filed the paperwork. I didn't know until 3 days ago. I don't believe you, Robert intervened. Mrs. Thompson's knowledge or intent is irrelevant. The legal fact is that she owns this property. You do not. You have 30 days to leave. Rick stepped forward aggressively. We're not going anywhere. Try to evict us and we'll fight you in court. You're welcome to try. But you'll lose. The law is very clear on property ownership. Vanessa's voice was shaking. Where am I supposed to go? I have 2 children. You can't just throw us out on the street. You have 30 days to make arrangements, Robert said. That's more than generous. I spoke for the first time, looking directly at Vanessa. You threw me out in 30 seconds. You kept me from my grandchildren for weeks. You let Rick put his hands on me. And all this time you were living in my house, telling me I had no rights here. This was supposed to be mine. David gave it to me. David gave you permission to live in my house. He never gave you ownership. There's a difference. You vindictive, bitter old woman. Mrs. Thompson, Robert interrupted sharply. I'd be very careful about what you say right now. Especially in front of witnesses. Vanessa was crying now. Angry, frustrated tears. I can't believe this. How is this possible? Robert pulled out the 3rd envelope. There's more you should know. Your late husband David came to see me 2 weeks before he died. He wanted to change his will. Vanessa went pale. What? He'd discovered something. About you and Mr. Dawson. Rick's face drained of color. Shut up. He knew about your affair. He had evidence. Text messages, emails, screenshots. He brought them to me. He was planning to divorce you. Vanessa looked at Rick in panic. You said he didn't know. You said we were careful. Jesus Christ, Vanessa, shut up. Rick hissed, but it was too late. She'd admitted it. In front of me, in front of a lawyer. He knew, I said quietly. My son knew you were betraying him with his coworker, with someone he called a friend, and it broke his heart, and then he died before he could leave you. Vanessa sank onto the porch steps, sobbing. I didn't mean for it to happen. Things with David were hard. We'd grown apart, so you cheated on him, while he was working 60 hours a week to provide for you and your children. I made a mistake. I know I did, but you can't punish me like this. I have nothing. The 401k is barely anything. Robert spoke. You also won't be receiving the life insurance. Vanessa's head snapped up. What? David's $500,000 life insurance policy. The beneficiary is Margaret Thompson. Not you. That's not possible. I'm his wife. The beneficiary designation supersedes spousal rights in Ohio. Margaret is the named beneficiary. The payout goes to her. No. That money is mine. I need that money. 6 months later, I'm sitting in the living room of the house where I raised my son. The house I almost lost. The house that came back to me when I needed it most. Emma is doing homework at the dining room table. Lucas is building Legos on the floor. They live here now, with me, full time. Let me tell you how we got here. After that confrontation on the porch, Vanessa had 30 days to leave. She spent those 30 days trying to find lawyers who'd take her case. Every single one told her the same thing. She had no legal claim to the property. The house was mine. Always had been. She tried to fight the life insurance too. Filed a complaint with the insurance company claiming spousal rights. They denied her. The beneficiary designation was clear and legal. The $500,000 came to me. Rick left Vanessa 2 weeks into those 30 days. Once he realized there was no house, no money, no comfortable life to mooch off of, he disappeared. Moved in with another woman. I heard he got fired from his job for showing up drunk. Vanessa, to her credit, didn't try to take the children when she left. Maybe she knew she couldn't provide for them. Maybe she felt guilty. Maybe she was just overwhelmed. She moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment in a cheaper part of town. Got a job as a receptionist. Lives paycheck to paycheck on her salary and David's 401k, which is slowly running out. I filed for custody of Emma and Lucas. Vanessa didn't fight it. She signed an agreement giving me primary custody with supervised visitation every other weekend. The kids see her, but it's clear where they want to be. Emma told the family court judge, "I want to live with Grandma. Mom's boyfriend was mean and she didn't protect us." Lucas said, "Grandma makes me feel safe." That's all the judge needed to hear. I used David's life insurance money wisely. I set up college funds for both children, $150,000 each. I paid off all of David's remaining debts. I renovated the house, new kitchen, updated bathrooms, fresh paint everywhere. I put $100,000 in savings for emergencies and the kids' future needs, and I still have money left over. Enough to live comfortably while raising my grandchildren. Vanessa comes to visit every other Saturday. She takes the kids to the park or to lunch. She's trying, I can see that. But Emma is distant with her. Lucas is polite but not affectionate. She destroyed their trust when she chose Rick over them, when she pushed their grandmother away, when she let their father's memory be disrespected in his own home. Children don't forget that. Last week, Vanessa came to pick up the kids and saw the renovated kitchen. She stood there for a long moment taking it in. "It looks beautiful," she said quietly. "Thank you. I'm sorry, Margaret, for everything, for how I treated you, for what I did to David, for all of it." I looked at her. She'd aged in 6 months, lost weight, dark circles under her eyes. The confident, polished woman who'd thrown me out of this house was gone. In her place was someone broken and struggling. "I appreciate your apology," I said, "but it doesn't change anything. You made your choices. These are the consequences, I know. I want you to know I regret it. All of it. Regret doesn't bring my son back. It doesn't undo the damage you did to your children. It doesn't erase the months you kept me from them." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Can I ask you something?" "What?" "Do you think they'll ever forgive me?" I thought about Emma's face when she talks about her mother. The way Lucas tenses up when it's visitation day, I don't know. That's up to them. All you can do is keep showing up and hope that someday they see you're trying. She left with the kids. Brought them back 4 hours later. Emma hugged me tight when they got home. "I'm glad I live here with you, Grandma." "Me too, sweetheart. I'm 68 years old. I thought my life was over when David died. I thought I'd lost everything. My son, my grandchildren, my purpose. But life had other plans. My son, even in death, protected me. He never filed that deed. Maybe he forgot. Maybe he had doubts about Vanessa even back then. Maybe it was just an oversight. I'll never know, but that oversight saved us all. I have my grandchildren. I have my home. I have the resources to give them a good life. And I have the knowledge that David somehow made sure we'd be taken care of. Vanessa learned the hard way that you can't mistreat people and expect no consequences. She thought the house was hers. She thought the money was hers. She thought she could do whatever she wanted. She was wrong. What city are you watching from? Have you ever had someone underestimate you? Have you ever been pushed out of something that was rightfully yours? Share your story in the comments below, and if this is your first time here, subscribe and turn on notifications. We share stories like this every day, real people, real betrayal, real justice. My name is Margaret Thompson. I'm a grandmother who almost lost everything and got it all back because my son loved me enough to protect me, even after he was gone. Remember this: never underestimate the quiet ones. Never assume kindness means weakness. Never burn bridges with family. You never know what they actually own. And never ever forget that consequences are real. Take care of yourselves. Treat people right and hold on to what matters.